Okay, so my people, at the end I say Paul Adom-Otchere no. Ono ade ne ho akọ asem. Se mo be kaya before OSP friend no. O man the lawyers tro nyoma bi say o tro letter man say on me make OSPC on ti no brother same day na dey amano no. Before be kono be ye video we and no cheche nyoma bi mu say ono like or explaining nyoma, but according to Martin Kpebu no sa nyoma ni na oye no ade ne ho asem nti dey entie ni Martin Kpebu be ka no TV3 4 interview no what I say Inti no real quick na mo add one na mo subtracting free mo before being count na mo hwe what I say inti no no real quick TV3 credit to TV3 though TV3 real quick na fede Martin Kpebu beka no.
But the special prosecutor's statement has a number of sticky points that gives us an idea of how things are playing out right now. One is that yes, the special prosecutor interviewed Paul Adom-Otchere and the two others. Paul Adom-Otchere has, and the second point is that Paul Adom-Otchere has been charged. The third point is that Paul Adom-Otchere has so far been unable to meet his bail conditions. Now, the fourth sticky point that you must take note of that he is required to present two landed properties of no specific value registered in his name. But then it stands to reason that the only reason why Paul Adom-Otchere is still, from what information we're getting from the sources close in there, is that he's not been able to meet this bail condition, reason being that he says he does not have any landed property in Ghana in his name. As a result, he remains in custody until the bail conditions are satisfied. Now, what we do not know is whether or not some persons would come in to stand surety for him, or the night will be passed at wherever he is, apart from home. That is what is playing out right now. But he has indicated, based on the special prosecutor's statement, that he says, I do not have any landed property in Ghana of no specific value. I don't have any land property in my name. So as a result, he is in custody until he meets that bail condition. But if you recall, we woke up to a statement. In fact, there was also a video to that effect by Paul Adom-Otchere. He had recorded an episode of his program to respond to some of the issues that the special prosecutor, he thought the special prosecutor was going to invite him based on that particular indication that he got yesterday. At least from what we do know, he has mentioned that one, he didn't know that there was any contract that had been signed with this said company. Two, it was Manasseh Azere who even told him that the MD of the Ghana Airports Company Limited had signed this contract. He didn't know about it. And take note of the date of the contract signed. On the 3rd of December 2024. This was some 3 clear days. In fact, that's on the 4th of December. 3 clear days to December 7, 2024. And then also, he indicates that no money has been lost and no money was paid. This is his account of the reasons why he says the OSP is on a path of witch hunt. Take a look.
Act doesn't mention the board chairman anywhere. But anyway, this is Kisi Ajabi and the OSP, so no problem. All right. So he says he's investigating something related to revenue assurance audit service of a contract between some company, Evertex. At the board at the Ghana Airport Company, sometime around 2022, the Ghana Airport Company needed money. I mean, there was no money there was not enough money in the system, so they needed money. So the board invited the minister to sort of discuss the fees and charges, whether the minister could go through parliament and increase the fees and charges so that the Ghana Airport Company can make some revenue. The minister said no, he can't, because of the post-COVID Ukraine war, it's difficult to go and tell Ghanaians to pay more. So the board should find ways of raising more money, especially non-aeronautical. These are documented in terms of the policy to raise money through non-aeronautical. It's documented. What is non-aeronautical? If you buy a ticket, I buy a ticket, the airport company gets some money. That's aeronautical. Non-aeronautical is whether they deal in some land or they give somebody space to sell meat pie, or somebody is doing something, or other things that we can do, especially at the cargo area. See how we can get more revenue. All that is documented. So so we were looking for people who can help us in different ways to raise non-aeronautical revenue for the airport, because we're not going to get the fees and charges, because the government policy is that you can't do fees and charges at this time post Russia-Ukraine war. So somebody contacted the board and said that, look, you guys are losing money at cargo, and I can do it. My company can do it. So we said, okay, come to the board and come and do a presentation, which is very normal, very, very normal. So they came to the board to do a presentation and said that this is what we know and this is how it works. The board told them that, yes, you have told us what it is, but there's no real evidence. You haven't given us any evidence that, in fact, we are losing money. And then they said that to do that, we have to work with your management to come and tell you, because we need access to your systems. When we get access to your systems, then we'll be able to tell you in the things that are the revenue that's happened already. So today is July. They will take last year's revenue and show you that this revenue that you got 1 million cedis, you could have gotten 3 million cedis. This revenue that you have 2 million cedis could have gotten 6 million cedis. So the management gave them that, and then they did that. And then the management brought them to the board the second time and said the people have finished their work, so let the board hear them. So the board heard them. And then they seem to know what they are talking about. They seem to show that, yes, revenue was lost and revenue can be gained. So the board told management that, okay, go ahead, which is also normal. The board tells the management, MD and your people, go ahead and work with them and report back to us. So they did, and they went to work with them. And then we continue our meetings. I had forgotten about it. I don't know anything about it. Then the management comes back that they finished with the people. They brought a proposal. It's a workable proposal, but it looks like the proposal, the people are saying that, well, I left something out. When the people said they wanted to do the audit, the original audit, we told them, and I in particular said it at the board meeting, that we can't pay any money. The Ghana Airport Company cannot pay you any money at all to do this work.
Well, he had also indicated in this same recording that he put out 15 minutes long that it was Manasseh Azariah that first mentioned to him that the MD had signed this contract on December 4th. Manasseh Azariah also replied on his Facebook page. Says, I watched your special morning edition of Good Evening Ghana, in which you named me. Even as my investigation into the contract is yet to be published, I wish to draw your attention to a few issues. You said I had engaged you on this matter, and we had exchanged questions and answers. You also said you had yet to respond to some of the questions I sent you. This is wholly correct, and I am still waiting for your response to the questions after the several promises and timelines you give me. 2, in distancing yourself from the contract, you claimed on your show this morning that you didn't know the owners of the company that won the shady contracts. Paul, this is false. You have admitted to me, not once, but twice, that you knew the owners of the company from the very beginning. I have evidence of this, and Manasseh put this in capital letters. I also have evidence that a year before that company, that's the one which eventually won the contract, came to the board meeting you chaired at the Ghana Airports Company Limited. You had met those behind the company. So, Paul, it's a lie. Quote, if you claim you didn't know the owners of the company that won the contract. That's Manasseh there. 3, he says, you said the contract does not involve paying money to the company. You said the company would only receive a percentage, that's 15%, from any incremental revenue above the Ghana Airports Company Limited benchmark revenue from the sector during the company's operation. This claim is misleading. Why? SML has similar arrangements with the government, and they claim they only take a percentage from what they recover or the incremental revenue based on their work. By the end of 2023, we had paid $141 million to SML, but SML could not point to a single recovery they had made. SML could not flag any oil marketing company for wrongdoing. This according to Manasseh Azariah, not even one, but they have been paid. And they are claiming credit for revenue increment from the sector even after our investigation exposed them and the KPMG report corroborated our findings. It goes on and on. It says, as in all the revenue assurance contracts, the company eventually makes millions of cedis from the state, but without any evidence of recoveries in their audits. Manasseh pointing out these things as well. Martin Kpebu is private legal practitioner, is joining us. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. First of all, I want to find out from you how all of this strikes you, right from the beginning, with the point Paul Adom-Otchere makes in that video that he put out earlier today, that he did not know about this contract. It is Manasseh Azure that brought his attention to the fact that the MD had actually signed this contract on December 4. And now he has been invited as well to answer questions on that. And I asked you this question, bearing in mind the limitations that we have, discussing this, not talking about any sense of guilt or otherwise on this, as the OSP is investigating.
That was brought to the board, etc. So now this U-turn that Paul is doing appears to be neither here nor there. But of course, in a court of law, so many other things can come up. So we cannot conclude here. But certainly from what is playing out so far in the public domain, Paul has an uphill task. He has shredded his own case even before, anything gets started in court.
And I want you to kindly reposition so we get a clear connection to you right now. But also, you talk about the fact that he's taking different positions and also taking into consideration what Manasseh Azure has just put out right now. He is consistently maintained, and I'm talking about Paul Adom-Otchere, that this contract, he actually didn't even know the persons behind them. He hasn't met them before. Manasseh Azure says that's false. And then he also maintains that he got to know that this MD, the former MD, signed this contract on December 4 as well. Manasseh Azure is contesting that particular point as well. Counsel.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Kansi. Absolutely. Nobody is saying for has committed a criminal conduct, a competent jurisdiction that can pronounce him guilty after hearing evidence from both sides. That's including him, Paul himself. Yes, and for the 19 clause 2 of the Constitution 1992, which is at play. Correct. It's also within the rights of citizens to begin to take serious exception, okay, at the fact that even though the case hasn't gone to court, there is evidence in the public domain that he, Paul, had sent Manasseh Azure text messages, right, to confirm that a night before the contract came to the board, he, Paul Adom-Otchere, met the owners of the company to whom he met them, Philly Gadochi. Sometimes let's use the local because the effect of communication. So it is too late in the day for Manasseh not aware of the contract. He cannot blow hot and cold. That is certainly not on. He cannot blow hot and cold. That is not on. That is certainly not on. Not in Ghana. We are too smart for that. He has expressly told Manasseh that he knew about the contract. He knew the owners of the contract, and he met the owners of the contract before the contract came to the board for approval. So it is too late. It's too late. He should go tell that to the Marines. Paul should tell that to the Marines, not to Ghanaians. We are smarter than that. Okay? And so this matter we are discussing is not a matter before any court. It's not sub judice. We are talking about the fact that he's blowing hot and cold. Blowing hot and cold is not something that has been presented to a court. So we are not injuncted from discussing it. This is information that Manasseh has brought out. Manasseh has replied Paul publicly. And so we are free to discuss it, and we are free to begin to call out Paul.
And I make reference to that particular response by Manasseh Azure consistently because of some of the issues that he raises there. How do you see this case playing out in the coming days, taking into consideration what the Special Prosecutor himself or the statement from his office detailing the fact that as we speak now, Paul Adom-Otchere says he doesn't have any landed property in his name of any value in Ghana. And as a result, those bail conditions have so far not been met as far as we do know. As of now, there are any updates, we'll definitely put it out to our viewers and waiting on the special prosecutor to give us those updates. But how do you see things playing out in the coming days?
Yeah, so special prosecutor, look, for the case, for Paul to have been invited, okay, it means that the special prosecutor has already finished with preliminary investigations. Yes, that is what the law governing the special prosecutor requires, that before inviting the person, the special prosecutor first has to conduct preliminary investigations to see if there is any need to call the person. The special prosecutor doesn't start his investigations by straight away calling the alleged suspect. No, the law says he should first conduct some investigations without the alleged suspect to see if there is any basis before he calls the alleged suspect. So for the special prosecutor to invite Paul Adom-Otchere, it means that that basic threshold has already been cleared. This means that this is a serious case. It is no child's play. It is no child's play at all, because the special prosecutor has already cleared one stage of preliminary investigations before calling in Paul. So that preliminary investigation will involve things like at least scrutinizing to see, was there a contract in the first place? Was that contract approved whilst Paul Adom-Otchere was board chair, etc.? A whole number of things. So this is a very serious case. And let me repeat again, look, even if this case doesn't end up in court, the part where he's already blowing hot and cold, okay, approbating and reprobating is already in the public domain.